Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us here for our University of California application workshop. This presentation is being brought to you by the Los Angeles Harbor College Transfer Center. My name is Natalie Parra, and I'm one of the counselors in the Transfer Center. And we have set this workshop with the intention of supporting you from start to finish with the UC application for fall 2021 admission. To get started, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the agenda together. Whether you're joining us from YouTube or from Instagram TV or in person, we are so happy to have you here with us to go over the application, get your questions answered, and hopefully give you the encouragement that you need to keep going with this application. So on the agenda today, what we'll be discussing includes applying to UC campuses, UC transfer eligibility, documents to have ready for the application, when do transfers apply, we'll be answering that for our students, and a step-by-step application guide, as well as covering the UC personal insight questions. And I always love to start our UC application workshop with a fun fact. So today it is 2 out of 3 transfer students who apply to UC get in. How did they do it? By knowing UC is possible. And that is so true for all of our students, including you. It is possible to be admitted to a UC. They are extremely transfer friendly. They have a lot of programs and financial support for our students to make it affordable, including the UC Blue and Gold Opportunity Program. So students who have a family household income of $80,000 or less can qualify for tuition to be waived for the student. That is for our students who are regardless of citizenship. So if you're a DACA recipient or a B540 Dreamer student, or you are a US citizen, California resident, you are eligible to receive that as long as you meet the income guidelines. And we'll go ahead and get started now. So what is a UC? A UC campus is a University of California campus. These are 9 undergraduate campuses. They're research focused, they're very theoretical, and they are public schools which are very prestigious and located throughout the state of California. They include UC Berkeley, Davis, Irvine, Merced, UCLA, Riverside, San Diego, Santa Barbara, Santa Cruz, and dates and deadlines for the application. So you can start working on your fall application as early as August 1st and submit it by November 30th. Application filing periods are from November 1st through 30th for fall 2021 admission. And we'll go ahead and move forward. UC transfer requirements. So in order to be eligible to transfer to UC, these are the very minimum requirements. We would want students to be as competitive as possible. So depending on your major on the campus that you want to transfer to, we would actually recommend that you do above the minimum in terms of GPA and courses. We want you to make sure that you have all of the requirements needed depending on the campus. But minimum just to submit an application and be considered includes a 2.4 UC transfer GPA, minimum 60 UC transferable units. If you need help with distinguishing which courses are UC transferable, you're also welcome to meet with a counselor like myself, and we will help you on your transcript see how that is. But if your transcript notes that the class says UC CSU at the very end of each individual class, that means it will count for both UCs and Cal States. You also need to complete the 7-course pattern, which includes English 101 and 102, transfer level math, 4 classes from at least 2 I-Get-C categories, including arts and humanities, social and behavioral sciences, and physical and biological sciences. So when you add up 1, 2, 3, and then 4 from here, that makes the 7-course pattern, which are the minimum general education requirements. And looking at UC transfer in a year, as you can see, we are right about here in application season. October 1st, by the way, is the first day to file for FAFSA and Cal Grant verification, as well as for our DREAM Act students to put in their DREAM Act application as well. And the deadline is always March 2nd. So moving from there, November 1st through 30th, we want our students to apply for admission for fall 2021. Back in September, I hope you submitted a tag for transfer admission guarantee. If you did, you want to make sure that the major that you put on your tag application is also matching for the same campus that you tagged for back in September for UC for November. So if you need help, if you can't remember quite exactly which major you tagged, you can look at your UC Transfer Admission Planner, or somebody at the Transfer Center, including myself, can help make sure everything's correct before you hit submit. The online application will also require an update for transfer applicants January 8th through January 31st. So you submit your application by November 30th. You log back in January. And by January 31st, they want to see your fall 2020 grades all put in, as well as classes that you're taking in winter and spring to finish up everything that you need for transfer admission. So if you're applying this fall, you have until the end of spring 2021 to finish all the classes needed. March 1st, you will be hearing back. You will begin to hear back admission decisions from the UCs that you applied to. And March 2nd is the last day to apply for FAFSA, DREAM Act. May 1st is the final day that they'll be sending out admission decisions on behalf of the UCs. And then June 1st is the deadline to submit your intent to register, or in other words, to confirm your attendance to the UC that you decide you want to attend. And then the final transcripts must be sent by July 1st to the UCs. They do accept electronic submission, which is wonderful. And then, of course, July 15th is the last day to send in your AP or IB scores, if you have them, from College Board. Now next, of course, you belong at a UC, and we want our students to plan ahead. With that being said, we do encourage all of our students to research the 9 campuses, learn about the majors and their unique requirements at each campus to find the right fit for you. We also encourage our students to apply widely and broadly. So that means a mix of Southern California, Northern California, non-impacted and impacted programs, just so that way you have a good mix of options to choose from when you get your acceptance letters. Your application will be time consuming as well, so we want to make sure that you set time aside to compile information needed, complete the application, develop drafts of insight questions, have the application and essays reviewed by the Harbor College Transfer Center. Before you hit submit, we want to make sure and check everything is perfect before you submit it, because once you submit your application, most changes cannot be made unless it's your grades. You can add your grades from fall. You can add your grades for this current semester later on in January, but other things cannot be updated. You would have to contact each campus individually. So we want to help you save any trouble like that and avoid that by getting the application reviewed before you submit it with the Transfer Center. You also want to make sure that you are receiving emails from UC in the event they reach your junk mail by mistake. So definitely check your spam box, your spam folder in your email too. And then documents to have ready when you're submitting or working on your application include unofficial transcripts from every college and university you've ever attended, a copy of AP scores if you have AP scores, personal records, so that includes your social security number if you have one, or ITIN, citizenship status, annual income for your parents if you are dependent, for yourself if you are independent of your parents, and a method of payment, credit card or PayPal. If you do qualify for the fee waiver, you will not be charged, or you will not be requested to provide any payment information if you do qualify for the fee waiver. So additional information, the UC will waive application fees for up to 4 campuses for qualified students who would otherwise be unable to apply for admission. The fee waiver program is for United States citizens, permanent residents, and applicants eligible for AB 540 benefits. Fee waivers cannot be applied for more than 4 campuses regardless of their source. So if they came from UC, College Board, and SAT combined, you would only get 4 maximum altogether. You would have to pay an extra $70 for each extra application that you want to submit. That is not covered by the fee waiver as well. And then applying for a fee waiver is very easy. It's done within the application. You will be notified automatically if you qualify for a fee waiver within the application. Once you enter your family size and income in the About You section, you will see if you're qualified. And when you select your campuses in the campuses and majors section, a message will appear on that page with real-time feedback about how many campuses you can apply to for free. Next are the transcripts and letters of recommendation. So you do not need to send official transcripts once you apply. If you're admitted to a UC, then you must submit final transcripts to your campus admission office. And then UC does not require nor read letters of recommendation at the time of the application. A campus may ask for them later as part of the supplemental review, so be sure to check your email. And getting started. So to get started with the UC application, you want to create an account by visiting the UC application website. So you can go ahead and do apply.universityofcalifornia.edu. The link to the application will also be in the description of this YouTube video. If you're on YouTube with us, we'll also put it in our bio on Instagram. If you're watching, just go ahead and click on our link tree to get the link to the UC application. You're going to select create an account, enter your email address, create a password, and agree to the terms. So just like this, create an account, and then it'll take you to put in your email, confirm that password, right? Once these little boxes are all checked off and you check off the agree to terms, you'll be ready to go. And you want to make sure that you use an updated internet browser like Google Chrome, and be sure to use the correct email to avoid feature issues, as the email you choose for your account is UC's main point of contact with you. So you're not going to receive letters from the UC giving you updates. They are going to be sending you emails, so you want to make sure this is correct. And getting started, the applicant type. So when do you hope to start at the University of California? You're going to select fall semester 2021 or fall quarter 2021. Application level, you're going to indicate that you're a transfer student, you've graduated from high school and are enrolled in a regular session, fall, winter, or spring at a college or university. Junior transfers are students who will complete 60 to 89 units or 90 to 134 quarter units by the time you enter a UC. So this means by the end of spring 2021 for fall 2021 admission. So this is the one you definitely want to select. Do not click sophomore level transfer. Those are not available to many programs in the UC, so you definitely want to do junior. If you have a combination of units from universities and community college, you may want to meet with a counselor. Actually, you definitely want to meet with a counselor, excuse me. Definitely meet with a counselor, so that way we can evaluate your transcripts and help you and see where you're at. But normally we encourage all of our students to select junior level transfer. And then you click save and continue to move forward. Okay, now here are a couple of tips for you. So when you get started with the application, once you move forward from the last section, there's a start application button here. It tells you it's your time to shine, what to expect, what you'll need. Now down here, it's gonna say email me the questions for personal insight questions. You definitely want them to email you the questions, because what's gonna happen then is they're gonna send them to you in a Word document, and you'll be able to type right into them and save them to your computer and save your progress. So that way, if you need to come back to it the next day, like most of our students do, they normally don't finish their personal insight questions in one sitting. You can save them and have them reviewed instead of putting them into the box that you paste them into at the end. That can be very stressful for students. So go ahead and get those questions emailed to you. And then for some reason, okay, there it is. My slide wasn't showing at first. Sorry about that. So as you can see, the application home looks like this. So it's going to indicate the semester that you're applying for. Be sure that it says fall quarter semester 2021, and it'll show about you, campuses and majors, academic history, test scores, activities and awards, scholarships and programs, and personal insight. Once all of these are done, you'll get little check marks all over here on these boxes, and then you'll be able to hit review and submit. Do not submit without the Transfer Center reviewing first, but that's exactly how it's going to look in the application. And then, as you can see, number one, this is the navigation bar. So anytime you want to check on previous sections, you go ahead and click through the navigation bar to help you get to where you would like to go in the application. When you click on application status, it will confirm that you submitted your applications, and it will also tell you if your application is still in progress to help you keep track. Number 3, My Account. That is where you can check and update your email and password, which is perfect. Definitely make sure that all of that is correct. Number 4 is the Sign Out button. Make sure that you sign out if you are using a shared computer. And then number 5 is the Help Center that provides frequently asked questions support as well. Now in the About You section, this includes your personal information, contact information, citizenship and residency, demographics, your background, your household, and parental information. So when it says to do, that means that you still need to put in all the information. Once these to-dos turn into little check marks, that means you're done with that section and you can move on. So getting started, the personal information section, you're going to include all names you have gone by in the past. You're also going to include your date of birth. When it asks about birthplace, this is simply, it's just asking about the location that you were born, not citizenship or residency purpose related. Just, you know, that is one of the ways that they collect data. They want to know where you were born. And then About You, citizenship and residency. So you're going to select the country of citizenship here. And then if it, in this next section here, do you have a U.S. Social Security number or an individual taxpayer identification number, ITIN? You would select yes or no, whichever one applies to you. If you apply for financial aid, we use the Social Security number or ITIN you provide to match your application to your free application for student aid, so FAFSA or California DREAM Act application. See Help for more information on the additional uses of the Social Security number. So you want to select yes or no, or and then input that information there. And then if you are an undocumented student in the United States, you do have the option to choose no selection. This option is considered a valid response, and we recommend this choice for undocumented applicants, including those with DACA status. The UC does recommend that no selection button as a response to the country of citizenship question for our DACA recipients, our DACA status students and our undocumented students. So you are perfectly fine to indicate that as your selection. And then you want to make sure that you definitely have your Social Security number or ITIN available to enter into the application. If you possess one, again, it's a very important component. You do have one to include it. And in the demographics section, this section is not required, and it is optional for students who are comfortable sharing for UC data collection purposes. They collect demographic information specifically for statistical reasons. You can include it if you want, whatever you identify with as well in terms of ethnicity and ancestry. Totally fine. And About You, your background. So this section will determine if you are independent or dependent from your parents or guardians. Selecting any of the boxes except for none of the above apply to me means you are considered independent. So these questions here, if you are either married or in a civil union, registered domestic partnership, have children, if you've been in foster care or a ward of the Court of the United States, or when you attend a UC, you'll be a current or former member of the U.S. military. If you select yes to any of these, you do not have to put the financial information of your parents or guardians. If you put none of the above apply to me, then you would be putting that information in there. And then the next question, are you a dependent of a U.S. military veteran or service member? You can just select no or yes, whichever applies to you, and then save it, continue. Now then the next one, it'll ask you, do you live by yourself? You can select no or yes. Who lives with you at your home address? You're gonna answer whichever responses apply to you. So spouse or partner, child or children, parents, other. And then what was your total income earned in 2019? You're gonna input the income here. And then how many people were supported by this income? That's gonna go right here. So this section will determine if you are eligible for a fee waiver for the application. Please do not skip this section if you wish to be considered for a fee waiver. And then independent applicants will be asked if they live on their own or with family. Dependent applicants will be asked about their parents' incomes they live with. If you are considered dependent of your parents, you will be able to provide the information for up to 4 parents. job, level of education, and contact information as well. Independent students will be asked only about their parents' level of education and nothing else. You just input that here. So it asks who lives with you at your permanent home address, one parent, two parents, legal guardians, or other. What was the total income in 2019 by your parents or legal guardians? You put that in here. How many people were supported by this income? You put that there, and it will go ahead and let you move forward after. And then in terms of campuses and majors, so there is a section regarding UC values, and it just discusses the values that UC holds to an extremely high standard, and it just says that we're a community of people from diverse backgrounds with diverse identities, abilities, and needs. Everything we do is supported and enriched by an atmosphere of positive engagement and a spirit of cooperation and inquiry. Each UC campus has committed to principles of community that reaffirm each individual's right to dignity and civil discourse. We ask you to agree that if you become part of the UC community, you will seek to maintain a climate of civility and mutual respect. So just go ahead, and as long as you agree with this, you go ahead and save that there. And that is, I think it's a wonderful component to add to the application, just so you can see, you know, the campus culture at all of these schools is extremely inclusive, caring, and nurturing of all students of all backgrounds. And then once you click yes, you acknowledge, value, and agree with these guidelines and principles, you save and continue. Campuses and majors, this includes term and level. So this will ask you to verify that you're applying as a transfer student and the type. So the vast majority of our Harvard College students apply as junior level transfer students. So you're going to select transfer. I've graduated from a high school and am enrolled in a regular session at a college or university. Junior level. So it asks you that again, like earlier in the application workshop. Okay, and then next, selecting the campuses that you want to apply to for transfer. I really like this part. It shows a really nice map of California and all the different campuses. In terms of proximity to our campus, Harvard College is over here in the South Bay Peninsula. And as you can see, the closest ones to us are UCLA, Riverside, and Irvine. San Diego is a little far down south, Santa Barbara in the Central Coast, and then we have 4 campuses in Northern California, including Davis, Berkeley, Santa Cruz, and Merced. So you can just click the little check boxes for each one that you would like to apply to. And then you click save and continue to move on in the application. Once you're done with that, you're going to go ahead and choose majors for yourself based on each campus that you selected. So the majors do vary by campus. So you're going to select your first choice major as well as an alternate major if that is an option for you. You want to be sure that you have reviewed the lower division major specific requirements for any major you plan on applying to. This does vary by campus, and you definitely want to see a counselor for help planning these classes to be completed within the UC deadline, which is normally for spring admission, it's the end of summer. For winter admits as well. For fall 2021 admits is spring 2021. So in this example, it shows that it'll show for UC Merced, you pick the school that you want to go to. So let's say I want to do anthropology as my first major. So I would go to School of Social Sciences, Humanities, and Arts, select that as my major. If I want a second option, you definitely want to make sure that you connect with the counselor to see which ones you would also be a good fit for and meet all the major specific requirements for. We wouldn't want you to apply to a major that you don't have the requirements to get into, because then that would be a little bit hard and challenging to try to justify admission to an alternate option that you don't have any of the requirements for. So if I wanted to pick an alternate major, I would try to find something that overlaps with anthropology in terms of requirements, and not something that I don't have any of the major prep for, to definitely secure a spot. And then the next section, academic history, it does let you go into the UC transfer admission planner. So if you tagged a UC, or if you ever developed a UC transfer admission planner account, you can go ahead and log in, and it's going to import data from TAP into your UC application. So whatever data you put in when you were tagging a UC, it will load that in, and that really does help our students too. If you don't have a TAP account, you can just hit save and continue and move on to the next section. So the next section from there in academic history is high school information, and that asks students to provide accurate and complete information about the last high school you attended. So you put start date, end date, high school completion status, when did you receive your degree, diploma, or certification, you input that. In this example, we use San Pedro High School, but whichever campus was your last that you attended. The next section is academic history, so college information. This is where you input all the colleges you've ever attended. Of course, Harbor College being the best one. So you want to refer to your Harbor College transcript for exact month and year of enrollment start. Harbor College is on a semester with winter session term, so that's what you want to indicate as the option for the session type. And then, so as you can see right here, it says, what is this college term system? You put semester with winter terms for the drop down, and then where you put your start date, let's say a student started August 2014, and they're still taking classes, so June 2021. From there, it'll have you check off, so you want to have your transcripts on hand too, so you can check off each semester or session that you took classes in from your transcript. If your associate degree for transfer does not appear in this section, it's going to ask you what level of degree, diploma, or certification did you receive or will you be receiving? You're going to select Associate of Arts or Associate of Science for transfer. What is your AAT or AST major? You're going to select from the drop-down. Some majors, political science, economics, environmental science, have not been appearing here. So if you don't see it on there, I did connect with the UC admissions office, and they asked for our students to select other in this drop-down menu here, and then from there you would put political science, AAT, for example, or whichever one it is that's not appearing on there. And then moving on, academic history. This box will show what your responses were for the college history section. The section can be edited at any time before submitting your application. So this is just going to be where it verifies and where you can verify as well the information that you put in. So for this student, they attended, as an example, January 2018 to December 2020. Most current or recent college, yes, we're on the ABCDF system for grading. Term system changed, so no, our terms have not changed from quarter to semester, so it should say no there. Term system, make sure it says semester with winter session. And then of course, your AAT or AST major, and then dates that you'll be receiving the degree. Now, I just want to also add, if you ever took a semester at, for example, let's say I took one class at Trade Tech over winter. I need to add Trade Tech as my second college that I've also attended, even though it was just one class. If I was a student, let's say 10 years ago, I took classes at Long Beach City College, but halfway through the semester, I dropped all the classes and got W's. I still need to include even those units from Long Beach City College that I withdrew from. So you have to include everything that you've ever completed from any college or university in this application, okay? And it's very important that you're completely transparent about that, because it is definitely frowned upon and harshly evaluated when students withhold information, especially intentionally. So you want to make sure that you are transparent, and it'll be okay. Also, when it comes to the academic history section, this section is going to ask for all of your grades for all terms that you checked off on the previous page. And then it's also going to ask you, you're going to want to search for your classes by individual term and academic subject. You're going to check off the class you completed and select the grade you earned, and you will need to have your transcripts on hand for accuracy. If you don't see your class, you're going to click on the I don't see my course box, and manually enter the info. So in this example, the student started winter 2018 at Harbor College. So let's say that semester the student took an accounting class, right? So they click on the drop-down menu for accounting, and they check off, if they took accounting 1, they'll check off accounting 1. Now let's say the student took English 28 in that winter, right? English 28 will not appear on this because English 28 is not transferable. So the student would have to click, I don't see my courses, and enter English for department, course number 28. They'll put the course title here, and then the units, it's a 3-unit class, and you'll put your grade. If you got academic renewal for a class, so let's say I took an Administration of Justice class in winter 2018, let's say I took AJ1, and that class didn't work out, I got a substandard grade, and then time went by, and I was able to academically renew that class. In that case, you don't want to put the original grade. Let's say I got an F in the class. Instead, you would put AR there if the class was academically renewed. When it's time to also input your fall 2020 schedule, you're going to select your classes from the drop-down. You're going to mark those classes as IP for in progress. When it asks you to put in your spring semester classes, right, because you checked off that you're going to take classes in spring, for grade, you're going to mark them as PL or plan. If you got an EW in a class, you want to make sure that you indicate EW for the grade, okay? If you took a class pass, no pass, you want to indicate that you took a class PS for pass. And then if you got an incomplete in a class, you want to indicate IN for incomplete. Now for the next section of academic history, you're going to enter your term courses and grades. So this means that once you are done entering your classes from this drop-down menu, it's going to show you here on the next page how all of your classes look all together. So this should be a direct reflection of your transcript. It's going to include all of your non-transferable classes, your transferable classes, classes that you got academically renewed. It should be a perfect carbon image of what was on your transcripts, and you want to compare that side by side to verify everything on there is correct and listed. And then you can also go back and edit your responses if you notice any discrepancies from what's on your transcript and what's on the application. And then academic history, minimum requirements. This section is just verifying that you meet the 60-unit minimum, the 2.4 or higher GPA, and the 7-course pattern needed for minimum admission requirements to UC. You also want to remember that for English 101, 102, and Transfer Math, these classes must be completed with a C or better in progress or planned in order to meet UC requirements. If you have questions about this section, you're also welcome to ask a counselor. We're glad to help, and we're here for you to get everything resolved before you submit. And then additionally, if you followed a UC transfer pathway, you can include this information. If you did not, you can leave it blank. If you can also leave the California State ID number blank. We don't issue those to our students. They're normally found on the high school transcript, but you're welcome to leave it blank. And then additional comment section. This is the opportunity to explain different unique circumstances that occurred. So I'll use myself for an example. Let's say that my GPA is a little low, but I am, by the end of the semester, I'm going to get academic renewal approved for, let's say, 3 classes that are really holding my GPA back right now. So I could put a note here saying, hi, I really appreciate your review of my application. Currently, my GPA is such and such. Maybe it's a 2.3, okay? But at the end of the semester, I will be qualified for academic renewal. I'm currently getting all A's in my classes. I'm doing very well, and I appreciate you reviewing my application for consideration. You could put something like that. That way they know what's going on. And I think that this is a really good space to just include things like that. I've had students input. So if you are in a program such as, for example, the summer bridge programs that we have at our college, you want to check on your unofficial transcript. The very last page there may be a non-credit record on your transcript that shows all of your summer bridge courses if they were non-credit. So you want to indicate in your additional comment section that you took non-credit courses at Los Angeles Harbor College that did not count for transfer. They did not count for credit, and no one received grades for them. And they do appear in the non-credit section of your transcript, and then you can just include your the semesters that you have non-credit, and then just the class. So maybe it was Basic Skills 6, CE, or anything like that. So you want to include that information there. And I have contacted the UCs regarding this, the Help Center, and they were the ones that told me to have my students put it here in the additional comment section. So go ahead and do that. If you still have questions about that, you're welcome to connect with the Transfer Center and we can help you. Okay, and then the next section would be test scores. So if you do have AP scores, make sure to have them on hand when completing this section of the application. This section is optional, and AP scores are not required for admission eligibility. If you're having trouble finding your AP scores, they should be able to be retrieved through your College Board account. And this is also where F1 visa international students can provide their TOEFL or IELTS scores for English proficiency. So you want to make sure to include that there if you have TOEFL or IELTS. And the AP scores go here. Activities awards. So this section, you can input up to 20 activities and awards from 5 different categories. I also want to encourage my students to be honest. Do not exaggerate or provide false information in this section, as it can result in application cancellation. If you're not sure what to include, I'm definitely glad, and our Transfer Center is definitely glad to help you identify different activities and awards you may have not realized count. So some examples of activities include Harbor Advantage or Harbor Success. The Dean's List, a lot of the times my students don't notice that they receive Dean's Honors on there, but it will appear on your transcript. EOPS also counts as an activity. Activities can include a number of different things that maybe you might have not considered before. So definitely connect with us and we can help you determine what would be a good idea to include. Programs can include, and it shows here, counseling, tutoring, research opportunities, or special study opportunities, such as study abroad. If you participated in a program that is not listed below, select other and specify the name of the program in the space provided. And that includes even, I think, how it says counseling, tutoring, research opportunities. So if you were one of those students who would go to the different big workshops that they would have in our through our LLRC. I know that they like to do a lot of those virtually. Those are some good ideas of what you can include. If you ever participated in the ASO activities that we've been having virtually, those are another great idea. ASO also has a lot of clubs that are doing virtual meetings, so it's another nice way. Transfer Center activities, if you've done any activities with us as a Transfer Center, you're also welcome to include those, like our workshops and things like that. If you met with one of the reps too for the special appointments and things like that, that's also a good idea to include too. And next, scholarships and programs. So there are many different scholarships and programs to choose from to apply for within the UC application, which is wonderful. My students ask me about scholarships all the time. This is a great way to get started. And this is another reason why it is important to craft great responses to the personal insight questions, because they do use those for the scholarship notifications too, to evaluate your application. So they have related to academic major interests, affiliation with a group, program, or organization, ancestry and descendants, career plans, ethnicity, national origin or religion, extracurricular activities and work experience, family circumstances and relationships, health, disabilities, school or geographic affiliation, and transfer students. I showed the transfer students because our wonderful transfer students, there's a lot of opportunities here. So they have them for students ages 25 to 50 years old who have had at least a 5-year break in higher education. community college transfer student who has overcome adverse socioeconomic conditions, demonstrated exceptional academic achievement, and exhibited altruistic involvement in extracurricular activities that improve the lives of others. And then the Osher Foundation Scholarship for students transferring from a California community college who show academic promise and a commitment to obtaining a baccalaureate degree. So whichever ones of these apply for you, speaking from my experiences with my students, most of them qualify to check off this box because you are all so incredibly bright. You work so hard. You have overcome and fight through and push through so much for your education. So check off that one for sure. And the Osher one is another wonderful one that you definitely should consider applying for, as well as any others that apply to you here. And for school, where it says you can apply to a number of scholarships, that means free money. That means you don't have to pay it back. Right here on the application, it says you also need to file a free FAFSA application, right? So make sure you do your FAFSA or DREAM Act application. That's what ties it to this. And then to be considered for every type of financial aid possible, including the scholarships listed below. International students should not file these. So our students on F1 visa, unfortunately, you're not eligible to file this one, but there are other funding opportunities for international students as well. Definitely recommend that you connect with the Transfer Center and our International Student Program to determine which ones you can qualify for and where to look. And you want to click on a category to view the list, like I said before, and it'll show you a bunch of different options to check off. And of course, there is the wonderful EOP program. So if you would like to apply for EOP at the UC, this is the equivalent of EOPS at Harvard College. They have EOP version at the UCs and Cal States. That's done within the application as well. So if you would like to apply for EOP, check off this box here and you answer all of the follow-up questions related to that. If you believe you may qualify, definitely apply. If you're already an EOPS student at Harvard College, definitely apply. Want to encourage our students to get involved with EOP at the UC. And the personal insight questions. This is your opportunity, to stand out as a scholar. So there are 7 questions total. You need to answer the 1 mandatory question and then 3 bonus from the 7. So you can get the questions emailed to you. And you'll be able to type them into a document and save them so that way you can pause, take a break, show a counselor, show a professor, and get some feedback before you continue on. Now, these responses take time to craft and should not be rushed. The Transfer Center can help you with the writing process and review before you submit. We also have a personal insight question workshop as well for our students. I love helping my students get their responses reviewed. So that way we make sure that you're giving yourself that spotlight, and you want to make sure that you follow all the directions. So a few tips, it says the personal insight questions are about getting to know you better, your life experience, interests, ambitions, and inspirations. Think of it as your interview with the admissions office. Be open, be reflective, find your individual voice and express it. There are no right or wrong answers to these questions. They're about you and your life thus far. A few tips: present your information and ideas in a focused, thoughtful manner. Making a list of accomplishments, activities, awards, or work will lessen the impact of your words. So please do not put bullet points, put full sentences. Think of it as the persuasive essays of why you belong at a UC. Use specific, concrete examples to support the points you make. Focus your examples on the present and near past. Tell us about yourself. We want to know about your personal triumphs or challenges, leadership opportunities, and experiences outside the classroom. Use your own voice. Your answers should reflect your ideas and be written by you alone. Use I and my responses, or use I and my statements in your responses, so you don't have to say one or Natalie. Like, I wouldn't refer to myself in the third person or refer to myself as one. You should say I or my. And try to relax. There are many pieces of information we consider in reviewing your application. An admission decision will not be based on your responses alone. So to get started, the required question. This one, everyone has to answer, okay? So you do not get a choice with this one. You have to respond to this one specifically. Absolutely. Please describe how you have prepared for your intended major, including your readiness to succeed in your upper division courses once you enroll at the university. Now, you want to make sure you answer how you have prepared for your intended major and describe that. So you want to be descriptive. You want them to be able to read your response and feel like they can see you. They can see your experiences. They can see you in different moments of your education, of your life, what you have done to get to where you are now, and why the UC is your next big step in the direction of your destiny. And you want to include your readiness to succeed in your upper division courses once you enroll at the university. Now, when it comes to these responses, all of the UCs are going to read these. So if I'm applying to UCLA, UCI, UC Riverside, UC Davis, but my #1 school is UC Berkeley, I'm not going to say, I prepared for my intended major at UC Berkeley by doing such and such things. Because UCLA, UCI, UCR, UC Davis, they're going to read this too, and they're going to say, oh, she put Berkeley. What about us? So if you need to include the school name, you want to just put University of California. And you also want to make sure that you are being, like I said before, descriptive, persuasive, things like that. And then you're going to choose 3 more from the following to answer in addition to the required question. So I'm going to read you these 7 optional questions, right? You have to do 3 minimum. So, you know, you could pick the first 3, you can pick the bottom 3, you can pick the 3 that you can write the most about, but it has to be 3. So you are going to be doing a total of 4 responses to these questions. 1 from the mandatory, which is right here. And then you choose 3 more, whichever ones you like the best. I'll read them out loud to you. So number 1, describe an example of your leadership experience in which you have positively influenced others, helped resolve disputes, or contributed to group efforts over time. Number 2, every person has a creative side and it can be expressed in many ways. Problem solving, original and innovative thinking, and artistically, to name a few. Describe how you express your creative side. What would you say is your greatest talent or skill? How have you developed and demonstrated that talent over time? Describe how you've taken advantage of a significant educational opportunity or worked to overcome an educational barrier you have faced. Describe the most significant challenge you have faced and the steps you have taken to overcome this challenge. How has this challenge affected your academic achievement? What have you done to make your school or community a better place? Beyond what has already been shared in your application, what do you believe makes you stand out as a strong candidate for admission to the university? So you pick the 3 that you feel the most passionate, excited, and you feel like you can write the most about, or whichever ones you're most comfortable writing about. And then from there, definitely save those drafts. Come see a counselor, myself included, at the transfer center so we can help you make sure everything is perfect, and we'll definitely give you feedback. Some things that I like to encourage my students to do, be descriptive. If you definitely want them to see it and say, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm practically watching a movie reading this. I just see everything that the student's talking about. Or you want to make sure that you have attention grabber when you start the essay, right? The response, it helps it stand out. Try to focus on everything that makes you special. If you have writer's block, talk to us. A lot of my students, they don't realize how many unique and wonderful things that they can do, that they're already doing, that would make the UCs very excited to have you at their campus. So definitely get in contact with us so we can help you if you need help getting ideas together. And then the additional comment section. So if there's anything else you want us to know about you, now's your chance. But remember, you should use this space only if you want to describe anything that you have not had the opportunity to include elsewhere in the application. This shouldn't be an essay, but rather a place to explain unusual personal or family circumstances or anything that may be unclear in other parts of the application. So you want to use this section to cover anything else in your that was not asked of you in your personal insight responses. So this is like where you can put academic renewal type of stuff, You can, if you don't have anything to add, you can put, thank you so much for reviewing my application. I appreciate your time and I look forward to hearing back regarding my admission. If we want to just put a little something, but yes, you have room for one more space here. And then once you have all the check boxes here, it's ready to submit. So you just hit review and submit and it'll let you move forward with that. Now, this is a common question. It says, we want to do one last check to make sure your academic information is accurate. If you have missing coursework or gaps in education, you'll need to confirm the information is correct before you can continue with the submission process. So if it indicates that you have a gap in education, your academic history indicates a gap of more than 5 months in your college education. Please use the space below to briefly explain the reason for this gap and what you did or plan to do during that time. If this is incorrect and you do not have a gap in your education, you can edit your information by clicking the Edit to Academic History button below. So if you don't remember having a gap of education, then it could be that you inputted your records incorrectly, so you want to correct that here. If you did have gaps in your education, that's also okay too, but you want to explain why. So sometimes my students will indicate it was because they had to work full-time to take care of their family. Perhaps it was for health reasons. Perhaps it was due to other circumstances. So you want to include that there, and they will take that into consideration. And they don't frown on students for having a gap in education. I haven't seen that before. They're very transfer friendly, and that's why they allow students this space to just share about that. And also you want to make sure that you verify the units and application level. With the application, it's going to tell you here, if you get this message, it means that there's a discrepancy, and it says junior level transfer students must have a minimum of 60 units based on your coursework. Based on the coursework information you provided in academic history, the number of units you reported, 25 semester, does not meet the minimum required for the level you selected. This total, however, does not include units you may have earned from AP, IB, and/or A-level exams. If you think this coursework total is incorrect, click on the button below to return to academic history to edit your courses. If the total is correct, or if you believe you will have the minimum units with test scores you reported, please check the box below to confirm your courses are accurately reported. And if you need help with this part, a counselor can help you. You want to sign the release, bottom, and then you will be notified with the billing summary, how much each application costs. It's $70. And it says you qualify for a UC application fee waiver, which means you can apply to one more campus for free. So if you qualify for more fee waivers, it'll tell you, oh yeah, one more school for free. You can add that if you'd like. And you also want to make sure you fit the fee waiver. And then if you don't qualify for the fee waiver, it'll say based on your family size and income, you do not qualify for a fee waiver. If you believe you entered this information incorrectly, click the recalculate fee waiver button below and re-enter your family size and income. And you can just do that. You want to make sure that you have method of payment in card form ready. So make sure that you have that in the event you don't qualify and you have to pay. And then you'll receive a confirmation page. After paying, you want to print or screenshot your confirmation that you completed, save it for your records, write down or screenshot your UC application ID number, print a copy of your receipt and application for your records, check your emails. So this is how the UC will communicate with you, along with all campuses you apply to. Get in the habit of checking your email at least once a day. And the transfer academic update, don't forget that you're going to include the grades for the courses that you were in progress to complete at the time you submitted your application in January 8th through 31st. And then you want to create a portal for each individual campus you applied to. You'll be prompted to do so in emails that you will be notified to move on to that next step. And lastly, just some UC application information, helpful tidbits here at the end. So the admissions homepage is admission.universityofcalifornia.edu. The online application is apply.universityofcalifornia.edu. They have a UC info help desk to help students. They also have a phone number. I call the hotline all the time when my students and myself have questions, and they're wonderful. They always answer, and they normally do have extended hours during application season, which is really great. They also have a mailbox, and then of course our wonderful Harbor College Transfer Center. So you're welcome to call us at 310-233-4282. And then I will also put our Instagram at LAHC Transfer Center in the description box, as well as our Transfer Center email if you need to email us. And with that being said, this concludes our workshop. Thank you again for joining us, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram TV or in person. We appreciate all of you and look forward to supporting you on your transfer journey. Have a wonderful day. Take care, stay safe, and stay healthy.